Nonetheless, we're going to continue on our study of the book of Matthew from a critical angle.
Wow, I want this list.
Yeah, I can provide all these PowerPoints online. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 instances in the New Testament, in the book of Matthew, that claim that Jesus fulfilled a prophecy that the Messiah was supposed to do. Okay? Or something in Jesus' life happened that was a prophecy. Okay? So, according to the book of Matthew, the Messiah has to be born of a virgin. He has to be born in Bethlehem. But he has to come out from Egypt. Herod has to kill babies. But he has to grow up in Nazareth. But when he's adult, he has to live in Capernaum. He has to heal the sick. He has to he has to be secretive about his messiahship. That's why he told Peter, "Don't tell anybody." He has to teach obscurely, like he has teachings that are hard to understand, and he has to teach in parables. He has to ride a donkey and a colt. Okay, he has to do both. He has to do both those things. He has to be arrested, and he has to be betrayed with 30 coins. These are the prophecies. I'm not going to touch on all of them, but these are the main prophecies. The biggest one is Isaiah 53, verse 4. This is the prophecy. This is the mega Jesus prophecy, which we'll touch on briefly last. I can't go through everything at once. Rabbi Tovia Singer has hours and hours and hours upon these things. Okay, outreachjudaism.org. All right, Let's Get Biblical touches on everything. A lot of great lectures about this. All right, let's start with the first one. The first prophecy that Jesus fulfills, according to Matthew, is the born of a virgin prophecy, which can be found in Matthew chapter 1, verses 18 through 25, or Isaiah 7:14. Let's read the story. Now the birth of Jesus Christ was as follows. When his mother Mary had been betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found to be with child by the Holy Spirit. And Joseph, her husband, being a righteous man and not wanting to disgrace her, planned to send her away secretly, meaning he was going to divorce her because of this. He was engaged to Mary. Mary's pregnant suddenly, and engaged women who are pregnant are considered adulteresses according to Jewish law, but he didn't want so he was going to divorce her secretly. That's what it means by send away secretly. That's the same language used in the Torah for divorce. But when he had considered this, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream, saying, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife. For the child who has been conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit. She will bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. Jesus is Yeshua, and Yeshua comes from the word salvation, which is Yeshua. Now all of this took place to fulfill what was spoken by the Lord through the prophets. That's a phrase that repeats itself 13 times in the book of Matthew, and I listed them all in the previous slide. Behold, the virgin will be with child, and shall bear a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which means God is with us. And Joseph awoke from his sleep, and did as the angel of the Lord commanded him, and took Mary as his wife, but kept her a virgin until she gave birth to a son, and he called his name Jesus. Okay? That's the story. Basically, literally, Jesus, according to the book of Matthew, is God's literal begotten son. John 3:16. For the God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. The claim of the New Testament is that Jesus is actually God's son through a virgin birth. He has no earthly father, according to Matthew. And this was to fulfill what Isaiah said in chapter 7, that a virgin will give birth, and they will call him Emmanuel. Why is he called Emmanuel? Because he will literally be God with us. He's God in the flesh, walking around the earth. All this is to fulfill chapter 7, verse 14. Let's look at the verse. Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, a virgin will be with child and bear a son, and she will call his name Emmanuel. Lachen iten Adonai hu lechem oth. Hine ha'alma hara v'yoledet ben v'karat shemo Emmanuel. Okay? Notice it says she will call his name Emmanuel. The New Testament said they will call his name Emmanuel. This is the Greek Septuagint of the version of this prophecy. And it says Parthenos. If you know math, you know these letters. But like the first letter is pi. All right? Try to remember how that looks. Parthenos. Because we're going to review that word in a second. So right here, the Christian apologist says, how amazing. Isaiah talked about there's this virgin, and she's going to give birth. And only Jesus was born of a virgin. This is a messianic prophecy that wasn't fulfilled in Isaiah's time. And then, what would happen then normally is in a Jewish versus Christian debate, they would debate about, does the word Alma mean virgin or not?
Right.
Have y'all heard these debates before? Does the word Alma mean virgin? Or does it mean young woman?
Right.
Okay, so, I mean, Licinius has a lexicon, so let's look it up in a second. But I don't like to take the debate there. I don't like that at all, because it's you'll find out in a couple, in like 10 minutes, why that debate is in vain.
Right.
It doesn't matter what the word Alma means.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Let's look at Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, in its context, starting from verse 1 in chapter 7.
Right.
Now it came about in the days of King Ahaz, the son of Yotam, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, that Rezin, the king of Aram, and Pekach, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, went up to Jerusalem to wage war against it, but could not conquer it. When it was reported to the house of David, saying, the Arameans have camped in Ephraim, his heart and the hearts of his people shook as the trees of a forest shake with the wind. Okay, let me recap. There's a civil war about to happen. The northern kingdom is about to come to war against Judah, the Judean kingdom, the southern kingdom. And the northern kingdom has partnered with Damascus in this war. It hasn't happened yet. Right now it's at the stage of rumors. There's this rumors of war happening. So this is very troubling to the king of Judah, because what's he thinking? Oh my gosh, I'm not going to be king much longer, because they're going to come here, they're going to destroy Jerusalem, and they're going to put in another king. Then the Lord said to Isaiah, go now and meet Ahaz, you and your son Shear Yeshuv. Okay, Isaiah had a son named Shear Yeshuv. Isaiah had this really interesting practice of naming his children after his prophecies. Okay, so like if he, this is a joke, but if Isaiah prophesied that a glass of milk was going to be spilt, he might name one of his sons Spilt Milk. So that's his practice. What? Right, and Hosea did the same thing. Hosea was Isaiah's contemporary. Go out now to meet Ahaz, you and your son Shear Yeshuv, and at the end of the conduit of the upper pool on the highway to the fuller's field, and say to him, take care and be calm. Have no fear, and do not be faint-hearted, because of these two stubs of smoldering firebrands, on account of the fierce anger of Rezin and Aram, the son of Remaliah. Isaiah is coming to the king. He's telling him, do not worry about this war that's going to come. Because Aram, with Ephraim and the son of Remaliah, has planned evil against you, saying, let us go up against Judah and terrorize it, and make for ourselves a breach in its walls, and set up the son of Tabel as king in the midst of it. They're going to set up this puppet king. Thus says the Lord God, it will not stand, nor will it come to pass. For the head of Aram is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin. And within another 65 years, Ephraim will be shattered, so that it will no longer be a people. And the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is the son of Remaliah. If you will not believe, you surely shall not last. So basically Isaiah is saying in 65 years there won't even be a northern kingdom. So don't worry about this war. It will not succeed over you. Then the Lord spoke again to Ahaz, saying, ask for a sign for yourself from the Lord your God. Make it deep as Sheol or high as heaven. But Ahaz said, I will not ask, nor will I test the Lord. Now, if you know a lot about King Ahaz, you know he's not a righteous king. He does not want God's name to be sanctified because of him. So he's saying here, no, I don't want to see a sign from God. He doesn't want God's name to be sanctified amongst the congregation of Israel. And Isaiah rebukes him. He says, listen now, house of David. Is it too slight a thing for you to try the patience of men, that you will try the patience of my God as well? Therefore the Lord will give you a sign. So God is going to give Ahaz a sign. To King Ahaz a sign. Because Ahaz, he could have picked any sign. He could have said, I want to see 3 dolphins come out of the sea, or I want a thunder from the sky. He didn't pick, so God's going to pick for him. And said, therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, a virgin will be with child and bear a son, and she will call his name Emmanuel. Okay? So this son, Emmanuel, is going to be a sign to King Ahaz that the war is not going to succeed over him. He will eat curds and honey at the time he knows enough to refuse evil and choose good. For before the boy will know enough to refuse evil and choose good, the land whose 2 kings you dread will be forsaken. Meaning, when this boy is around bar mitzvah age, when he knows enough to refuse evil and choose good, the war you're talking about would have been something of the past. This rumor of a war. It will not succeed over you. And it's interesting, I don't see anywhere in the New Testament where Jesus eats curds and honey. I don't know why they didn't add that in. As well, what would it mean if Jesus had to choose between evil and choose good? I thought Jesus was perfect. He didn't have the stain of original sin. So was there a point in Jesus' life that he had to pick between good and evil? But he's supposed to be God in the flesh. How can he choose between good and evil? He would only choose good. He's God in the flesh. And more so, how would this prophecy be a sign to Ahaz if Jesus was born 500 years, 600, 700 years after Ahaz? So it will give Ahaz zero comfort to know that Isaiah is saying 7 years from now there's going to be a woman named Mary. She's going to be a virgin. She's going to give birth to a guy named Jesus. And it's going to show you that this war will not succeed over you. According to the context alone to Isaiah 7, there's no prophecy here about the Messiah.
Right.
There's none of these elements here.
Right.
The word Messiah is not used, okay, even though there wouldn't be used. But there's no indication here from the simple, plain meaning of the text that this is talking about a Messiah. But they said,
Emmanuel.
huh?
What about Emmanuel?
Emmanuel?
Yeah.
What about him?
The name.
God is with us.
Yeah. Right.
Because Isaiah had this strange habit of naming kids after his prophecies. So when the kid is born, they will call him Emmanuel, because the boy will be the sign from God that God is on the side of Judah and not on the side of the northern kingdom. God is with us, Immanuel, not Imam El, not with them. That's why his name is Emmanuel. It doesn't talk
So
about,
who was actually named Emmanuel? Was that child actually born?
it's not shown in Isaiah. So, remember, Isaiah is really a collection of stories and speeches of Isaiah. You don't see a verse where this kid is born. You just assume it was.
Right.
Okay? Because the war ends in the book of Chronicles, this war that they're talking about.
But one thing that does not have to be assumed is the 53-year problem.
Right. I mean, because is it 63 or 53?
No, 53 is like minus 12 years bar mitzvah age.
Right. So this prophecy has to be
65
fulfilled
years.
in a 63-year period.
Yeah.
So what would the Christian apologist say about that? He says, you're right. We're not saying that the Messiah is supposed to be born of a virgin literally. This is not literally a prophecy of the Messiah. We're just doing a homiletical technique called midrash on Isaiah.
Interpolating.
And,
Well, yeah. all midrash's interpolation. Yes.
Emmanuel is not a real person, a real child.
Oh. What do you mean?
Emmanuel is not a child. Like you just said, God is with us. It is a characteristic definition.
Well, there is a child. He will be born, and they will call him Emmanuel. According, if you assume
some of
that
the history teaches that actually it was actually Isaiah's child and this king Ahaz's son or whatever. Their children actually had. He said, in fact, David Solomon was the one who taught it. He said, Isaiah's, logic is, he goes, my kid's good, your kid's good, it's got to be a good kid. How about we do this? And so somehow or another there was like I don't know, some David Solomon taught. I can't remember.
But here's the thing. We don't know whose son it was,
right?
Because he doesn't say here.
Right.
There's some opinions that say it was Ahaz's son. Some opinions say it's Isaiah's son. Okay.
Like I said, one thing that's most important to me is that whose ever son it was, whether it was mentioned or not, it still had to happen within 53 years.
Right. Not 700 years later.
Right. It had to happen within a 53-year period.
And this is not a messianic prophecy.
Right.
So when Matthew says, in order to fulfill the prophecy of this,
yeah.
What prophecy?
Right.
Okay. That's a problem. We have a huge theological, Christological theological thing here, hanging on one prophecy in the Bible. Jesus is the Son of God. Jesus is a spotless lamb who has no original sin because he has he has divine blood in him, and we have that a virgin will give birth. This huge mountain of the Son of God, the begotten Son of God, hanging on Isaiah 7:14. Why isn't there something more clearer throughout the entire Tanakh that talks about the Messiah being born of a virgin? But then the Christian will say, well, a virgin will be with child. That's a miracle. How can a virgin give birth to a child? She's a virgin. Well, the word doesn't mean virgin.
Right.
The word means young woman. Alma. Here's Jusinius. Preceding a girl of marriageable age, like the Arabic equivalent of this word, Syriac equivalent of the word, and Chaldean ulmeta, and it's equivalent to na'ara, a young woman.
What does the LXX call it?
Parthenos.
Parthenos, yeah, that's right. Okay.
Okay? Used of a youthful spouse recently married.
Right.
So
even that doesn't mean virgin.
So if you're recently married, it's hard to be virgin. But even though Mary was recently virgin, but being married in Jewish thought is different than Christian thought.
Right.
The notion of unspotted virginity is not that which this word conveys. For the proper word for that would be betula.
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Neither does it convey the idea of the unmarried state, or has of late been maintained by Hegenstenberg, but the nubile state in puberty. And then the Christian editor of the Jusinius Lexicon will put in his opinion. He says, the object in view is seeking to undermine the opinion which would assign the signification of virgin to this word. Is clearly to raise discrepancy between Isaiah 7:14 and Matthew 1:23. Nothing which has been stated does, however, really give us any ground for assigning another meaning. The ancient versions which gave a different rendering did so for party purposes like the LXX, who could have had no such motive, render it virgin in the very passage where it must, to their minds, have occasioned a difficulty. Alma, in the Punic language, signified virgin, as Jusinius rightly states in Thessalonians on the authority of Jeremy. But, and then the Christian editor of the Jusinius Lexicon says, the absolute authority of the New Testament should be quite sufficient to settle the argument. Meaning, you have to believe in the New Testament in order to understand what the word Alma means.
Right, so that's got to be the precursor.
But let's get there. They're not dumb. They're saying the LXX, the Septuagint, which was translated before Jesus, used the word Parthenos, and the word Parthenos means virgin in Greek. Right. Just like in Genesis chapter 34, verse 1 through 3. Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went to visit the daughters of the land. When Shem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, the prince of the land, saw her, he took her and lay with her by force. He raped her. He was deeply attracted to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the girl and spoke tenderly to her. What's the word for girl?
Parthenos.
Pi, right? Parthenos, theta, Parthenos. The word Parthenos in Greek does not mean virgin.
Correct.
The editor of the Jusinius Lexicon was in error. A raped woman cannot be a virgin. A raped woman is called a Parthenos. So the same Septuagint used the word Parthenos in a context that cannot mean virgin. So already on many levels we are starting to tear apart Isaiah 7:14 to mean a virgin. But you know what? Let's give them all credit. Let us assume that the word does mean virgin. Let's just do a thought experiment. We're going to assume that the word indeed means virgin. What did Isaiah mean then? Isaiah meant this. Achaz, King Achaz. You see this virgin? She's a virgin now, but she's about to get married. And she's going to go off and have a child. So even if the word meant virgin, it doesn't necessarily mean that a virgin gave birth. It just means that she's a virgin at the time that Isaiah is talking to King Achaz.
Right.
But she won't be a virgin because she's going to give birth soon.
Right.
I have a question.
Okay.
Well, that's not really a question. What do you think of Joseph and Dara?
What's that?
Joseph and Dara.
Joseph and?
Joseph and Dara.
And
The story, it's an ancient Jewish story. Jesus was actually born from Joseph and Dara, who actually came in and raped Mary. And
Oh.
you ever heard this story?
I have never heard the story, but
It would match Parthenos better, I mean, contextually.
Yeah.
I don't like, once again, I don't want to say anything negative
Yeah,
about
right.
Mary getting raped or her
Right.
being a promiscuous woman. I really just trying to be as respectful as possible.
Yeah.
So that might be a story, but you could say that the Jewish people wrote that story to discredit the New Testament.
Right.
I would like to take an analytical approach only, and so I really don't want to say anything negative about Mary. Okay. So we had that. You can't find any other single verse in the Hebrew Testament that talks about the Messiah being born of a virgin. We didn't find it in Isaiah 2:11, 36 to 38, and you won't find it in any other of the Messianic prophecies.